I actually went to look at a short bus that had a 7.3 liter diesel engine. I took my master mechanic with me, and we looked at it, and he said if I was going to advise you, I would advise you to stay away from this one because of its already noticeable issues and the issues that you could potentially have. And if you're in Alaska and this diesel engine decides to act up and you can't figure it out, you're going to have to pay a lot of money, especially if it's an injector or something like that, in order to get it fixed. And I agreed with him 100% because even though I took classes at Wyotech, I learned a little bit about diesels, and most of that was how to roll coal and spit backer. So I don't have that much confidence in working on a diesel. So something I did was I went back to West Virginia and I got this beauty. It's actually about 20 minutes away from where I got the other one. It's a 2002 model. It is actually, I believe, classified as a minibus, but it is tagged as a personal vehicle. It is insured as a personal vehicle. So therefore, see if you can get you. There we go. It's actually a 5-window, which gives me about 100 square foot of space inside. It's a 1-ton van with a bus back on it, which means I can park anywhere in Las Vegas that I want. It's not classified as an RV, so they can't tell me that I can't occupy it in a driveway. It's a personal vehicle. I'll do with it what I want. So I've had this thing for about a month now, and I only know that because the insurance is coming up due again. One thing I have figured out is that they do these buses quite differently. This one actually has the floor, like the rubber mat that's on it, was glued down. So I had to take an air hammer, run under it, and just chisel away a little at a time. Now this dude, instead of rivets, actually had Phillips head screws, which made it great for my little DeWalt impact driver. Put a Phillips bit in it, zip them right out. The ones that are stubborn, well, I just deal with them as they come. But I hadn't really give y'all an update in a while. The bus actually drove perfect from West Virginia. I mean, beautiful. Like to the point that when you come to a stop, it was so quiet when the power steering pump wasn't whining that you would question whether it was running or not. Like you had to put it in neutral, rev it a little to hear the pump whine. It run that beautiful. Transmission fluid's a little dark. I'm going to do a flush on it. No big deal though. It's got 200,000 miles on it, which concerned me just a little bit because the oil pressure's just a little weird. But the gentleman that I got it from, which seems very trustworthy, told me that they've had it for 6 years and it's been doing that for 6 years. So I decided to take the chance on it, bring it home. So I brought it home 360 miles from West Virginia. Oil pressure did fine. Coolant system done fine. Ran like a top. And it's still got about, I think, 10 and a half miles to a gallon. It's a 350 gasoline engine and a 1-ton bus. So if it does break, tear up, act up, I've got a better chance of being able to diagnose it where I'm at and fix it versus a diesel engine. So I got home with it and, parked it for a few days and then moved it from one driveway to the next. And then I went to bring it downstairs to do some work on it and noticed it had a misfire. It's got 200,000 miles, whatever. I'll just do a tune-up on it. Did the tune-up, which was I won't say total nightmare, but it was a little rough. Considering it's a 350 V8 engine in a bus. And I'll post some pictures later. Well, misfire was still there. So, after about 2 days of diagnostics and scratching my head and calling my master mechanic, narrowed it down to the spider injection system, which is common for being hard to troubleshoot unless you've dealt with them a lot. So, fortunately, it ran phenomenal to get it home. So I'm not mad about it at all. I would rather it go out while I'm at home than while I'm out on the road somewhere and have to diagnose it on the road, fix it on the road, or just get fed up with it and pay somebody to do it. That's probably a $600, $700, $800 job depending on where you're at, and that's including parts. So later this month, I'm going to be tearing the intake manifold off, replacing the intake gaskets, replacing the spider injection system, and then hopefully I will have a perfectly purring 350 again. But what I found interesting in this diagnostic test was the cylinder pressure on cylinder 1. If I use a cylinder leak down tester, which shows you how much air you're putting in the cylinder, and it measures how much is escaping. An engine with 200,000 miles, I put 100 pounds of air in the cylinder, and it's holding 95%, which tells me that's a very healthy engine. So I feel like this thing's been replaced or rebuilt, something. But it runs phenomenal when all cylinders are firing. But anyway, I just wanted to give y'all a little update once again. I've got the floor plan worked out for this. It's taken me many, many days of thinking and measuring and deciding. The exciting thing is I actually found me a refrigerator. It's 50 inches tall. It's going to fit like right over the fender well. It's amazing. Good and cold. Got it for a fair price from a local girl here on Marketplace. Found another one just like it a few weeks ago. They were asking new price for it. It was 5 years old. I didn't realize that until I started researching it and figured out they wanted $175 for a 5-year-old refrigerator when you can pick them up new for $175 to $200 depending on the model. So I decided not to get that one. But anyway, guys, that's the the longest update I've had in a while. Just want to let y'all know that Project Expedition Freedom is still rolling. I'm vigorously trying to get these floors out. The walls, if you'll notice, most of those Phillips screws are already out. So I haven't really been posting much on it. But I've been working about every chance that I get on the minibus. It's got a little more rust that I'm going to have to deal with. But I got one piece of plywood up, well, a portion of it up. And the floors look pretty decent. The fender well here, let me show you, is going to have some work done on it. Oh, I mean, that's a bit of a slight issue. So I'm going to get this floor tore up, and for those of you that are doing this, on my big bus there was big screws I could use a Phillip bit to put in and back those out, and they use like just regular nails to drive through the floor, and I didn't understand that, but whatever. Because there was so much water damage to the wood, it was a lot easier to get up. These wood floors are top side look phenomenal. I don't know how the fender well is going to look considering it's rusted out, but in a state that has a lot of salt, what I've learned is the driver's side, and somebody else pointed this out. Who was it? Navigation Nowhere, I believe it was, did a video on it, and he pointed out that on the driver's side there's bound to be more rust there just because that's where the salt and the snow pile up in the middle of the road, and you're more apt to run over it there. And that holds true here. This one did come out of West Virginia, but I feel like its structural integrity is well enough to do what I want it to do, especially for the next 5 years or so. Some people ask me, I'll do a video on that later. But anyway, I just wanted to let y'all know that I haven't given up on it. I've just had to change courses simply because there was some things I did not take into consideration that I wish I had. I'm one of those people, I generally learn things the hard way, but once I know I've learned, I have learned. So I I do have a big bus for sale that's ready for conversion. It's a 5-speed too, 121,000 miles, I think. Ready to throw your frame in, do what you need to do, and go have fun on many adventures. So, back to the screws. So this minibus has screws, some screws that actually hold the plywood to the galvanized steel floor underneath it. Well, they also used small screws, and because of water damage and stuff, most of the screws I had to cut out. More or less because it was dirt in the screws, and it's just hard to get them, so I just grinded the heads off of them. Well, it being in the wood, that's not necessarily an option. So as I'm sitting here, I was kind of brainstorming, so what I've decided to do, and let me show you the screw I'm talking about. Let's see. See this guy right there? It's a little bitty screw. Here's one too, as well as here. So actually being able to see the heads on these things to figure out what they are, I might pry around a little bit, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get a hole saw kit and use like an 1/8-inch hole saw, the smallest hole saw they got. Run that saw through the wood, and that's going to release the wood from the floor. And then I can take a cutoff wheel, one of these, except not chipped. That broke them in low RPMs, fortunately. It didn't like come off and hit me in the kneecap and send me to the hospital. Very glad of that. But I'm going to take this hole saw, cut around the screw, that way I can lift the plyboard up, take a cutoff wheel or a big grinder, like that dude, with a 7-inch disc, and just cut that thing off and get around it. That way I don't have to pull my back out trying to lift these boards up, because they are in pretty good shape for what they are. You don't realize how strong they are and how well little screws hold till you go trying to pry something apart with a 3-foot pry bar, and it laughs at you. So anyway, guys, just wanted to update y'all and let y'all know I'm still at it. When I get these floors done, I've got a gentleman that's going to come out and insulate it all for me. Then I can lay my subfloors, and then I can start my floor plan. And I want to honestly have that done. I want to have it insulated by the end of November at the absolute latest. That way, during a cold winter, I can actually still work on the inside. Maybe run some propane heat. Being I'm still at the house, maybe a small electric heater without much insulation. Shouldn't be a problem to keep it warm. And that way, by spring, I've got, most of the framing done, the electrical ran, which I'm going to have somebody else do, because it'd take me forever to learn how to do all that, being the perfectionist that I am. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hire someone to do that. Just tell them what I want, how I want it, where I want it, and I'll let them do their magic. I think that's about it, guys. Oh, I did install a new CD player in the bus. It's got that Bluetooth thing in it. It's great. I love it. Play Pandora, jam out. It was time for an upgrade for that. But anyway, guys, it's been real. It's been fun as always. Adventure on. Be safe in your travels, and I will see y'all soon.